Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning, everybody. It's still morning where we live, so I want to say good morning all day. So for those of you who wandered in and have no idea who we are, I'm Steve Blum, and this is Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. And you all look amazing, by the way. This is incredible. Thank you for having us here to San Antonio. Yes. That is the city we're in, yes? Okay, I don't even know anymore. We've been on the road a lot lately. We are voice actors from Los Angeles, California.
Los Angeles.
Yes, and we have stories to tell and answers to questions, and we're going to leave this, I think, sort of informal, and we've got a microphone up here. So if you have a burning, raging question, come on up to the microphone and let's fire this thing off.
Say something else.
Yes, we have a little bit of medication for that too. A little bit of salve. So please don't be shy. Come on up to the microphone. We won't judge. Oh, if you don't come up, I'm going to come down there. So I'm for serious. Here we go. Yes, big hand for our first victim. Volunteer. Come on. Hi.
What is the craziest line you've ever had to say for an anime that you think is the craziest one that you've ever had to say? The weirdest, craziest one?
Oh,
Yeah.
you want to start off?
Oh. I would need a minute to think about that.
Okay. Well, I don't know if it's the weirdest, craziest one, but it's the one that struck me really funny. It was from Gurren Lagann. I went into that show after coming out of, I think, a Wolverine session, and I was being this tough, crazy warrior kind of guy, and I came in and I said, "You screw it in, give it a hard, manly twist." And that was the G-rated version, so I did probably 7 or 8 X-rated versions of that. So.
Steve's sort of known for that, for the outtakes that he does in the booth. And what's amazing is that he can get it to sync perfectly to picture. And we keep those and play them for other actors as they come in. It's a lot of fun.
We leave little dollops around town.
Yes, without a doubt. It's really fun to be able to just leave gifts. It's fun.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, Mary has been my director for 15 years.
Yeah.
Singer, she does everything. She's like Buckaroo Banzai. She's seen me through it all, so she probably knows as much about my history as I do. Probably even worse dirt.
And now a spellcaster.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, she is a spellcaster. Anybody watch Critical Role? Yes.
Yes.
She made her first guest appearance on Thursday night.
Thursday night, yeah. The night before we flew in here, so we finished there and had like 2 hours of sleep and got on the plane and came here to see you guys.
It's a live-action Dungeons and Dragons performed by voice actors, and it's amazing. She came up with this incredible character with a tail.
A tiefling warlock.
Yes, I'm in love all over again.
It's a lesson or two in how to keep the spice in your relationship.
That's right. Come on up.
Hail Caesar, King of Thrones.
Are there any roles that you turned down that were just too much, or just you just didn't agree with it? I can't do this.
Hentai.
Yeah, the only one that I turned down, they called Project X, and I didn't know what it was.
It was Project Triple X.
I didn't know that going in though, and I was in the studio recording for about 10 minutes before it dawned on me that, oh, that's kind of fun. Giant Warner Cable was hot. Just blew it out.
It's a problem.
It is, or some sort of device for that. I'm not sure.
Is it going right?
Yes. So where were we? Oh, San Antonio. Yes. Yes. So I walked in the studio and they call it Project X, and I'm about 10 minutes into the session before I realized that this giant creature with tentacles, which I'd played before, had something to do with a young girl, and there are point of view cameras involved, and squishy sounds, and I was recording this thing. I go, wait, where exactly is this tentacle going? And then the camera pulls out, and I see this little girl. And I went, okay, I'm done. Here, take your money back, here's your contract, I love you guys, God bless you, not for me. So that's really the only thing I've ever turned down. Other than that, I'm a voice of horror, hire me, please.
I was doing a show called, really early on, called Fist of the North Star. Yeah! So, it's leans towards the male dominance, so let's be honest, it's a very male-dominated show, right? And the women are sort of useless. So, I hate playing useless women, and yet you have to at some point. I seem to make a TV career out of playing victims, and I was playing a character that was actually captured, Yulia, who was captured in, and I did nothing on this show but scream, Ken! And Lex Lang would scream, Yulia! So there's always this flashback to them being separated as she was kidnapped and brought to this tower by your character, and kept in there, and I would play the harp every day, and they'd be like, he'd be like, what are you playing? It is the song of my sadness. It is endless. And I was like, just like this role. So finally, she jumped out of the castle to her death. And I was like, yes, thank you. Because it was, for my taste, slightly a misogynistic show. So, and I was like, yay, I'm done. And then they said, no, we've got another character for you. And I just burst into tears. I was like, I don't want to do the show. They said, no, she's a really strong character. Trust me, she's strong and proud and feminine, but in a strong, feminist kind of way. And I was like, okay, she's a warrior. Got it, good. First scene, they rip her clothes off, and I was like, but I did it because I'm a whore.
But you're mine, whore.
You're mine.
Blum, I'm a pretty big time fan.
Oh, thanks. I'm Steve. My son's Mr. Blum. He's a teacher. You're in the right.
All right, Steve. Do you ever feel like that your voice sometimes overshadows the characters that you portray in different anime, video games, cartoons? Like, you know what I mean?
That it overshadows the character?
Yeah, like, when you play just a random crook or a thief or, just a random character or like a side character that's like, this some guy.
Too recognizable.
And, yeah, your voice is just so recognizable. I don't really hear that guy. Steve Blum.
I try to avoid that. I really try to change it up as much as I can, but it's not up to me, it's up to the directors. And quite often when they hire me, they want that voice. And so most of the time I will actually try to disguise it, and then I get directed back the opposite way. So I'm sorry if that's distracting.
Oh, no, it's not a bad thing. It's fantastic. You're amazing.
Oh, good.
This is the best distraction I've ever had.
Okay, in that case, I want to beat the crap out of every role I play. Yes, beat them into submission. Thank you for that. It was nice. I'm glad it doesn't bother you. Come on up.
Okay, so have you ever suffered any major setbacks in your career? And if so, how have you bounced back from those?
Ooh, yeah. You want to start with that one?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of on-camera work when I first got to LA, and I was on an episode of Xena Warrior Princess, and it was so much fun, and I was playing Pandora's granddaughter, who was, who had the box, and she was, I had lines like, you have no idea what it's like to be cursed with this box, which is not something I necessarily want my mom to hear me say. But anyway, the horse, she wasn't too popular, so in the first scene, she's being hanged on a horse by these villagers. And the horse I was on, named Cher, reared up and, yes, reared up and fell on top of me and dislocated my kneecap. So Lucy was amazing. She was like, this day player came and pulled me out as I saw it was coming down, and I just sort of held onto a tree, and the director came up and said, oh my God, are you okay? I wish I had gotten that on film. And Lucy hit him, which was great. Whatever his name was, I forget. This amazing director. Anyway, so I came back to LA, and I was incapacitated for a while. It took like almost 9 months for me to get my knee back in shape, and amazingly enough, a guy named Peter Spellos recommended, who's an amazing voiceover actor, recommended me to Zero Limit Productions, and that's when I started doing voiceover. So what seemed like a major setback at first actually changed my life for the better and put me on the path to lead me to here. So, you know, sometimes the setbacks are actually the things that open the biggest door you could ever walk through. So keep that in mind.
That's kind of beautiful. You probably told me that before, and I don't remember because I was probably drunk. That's really awesome.
You drunk right now?
A little bit. Love for all of you. Probably what I perceived as the biggest setback was in 2000. I was doing pretty well in voiceover on the side, but I was an executive at a film company. And I worked for a company called Full Moon Productions. We made the Puppet Master movies, and before that was Reanimator when we were Empire Pictures. You guys might be familiar with some of those films. And I was with that company for almost 15 years. I became head of marketing, had this beautiful office in Hollywood overlooking Hollywood and Vine. And I booked a commercial for 7-Eleven, my first 7-Eleven commercial. I was that guy who said, "Oh, thank heaven." And so I thought that this was going to be my ticket out, and to be able to start doing voiceover full time. At that point, the company had started to become sort of corporate, and it wasn't the fun rogue company that we had started to be. And so I was ready to get out, and I was ready for some change. I was going through a divorce at the time, so I quit my job, and I thought, oh, I've got the 7-Eleven campaign. I'm going to buy a house. I'm going to get out of debt. I'm going to buy a house, and my whole life is about to change. And change it did, because the union went on strike for about 8 months. And not only had I quit my fairly lucrative job that I had been at with security, raising a couple of kids, but I was out of work for a year and a half and living on credit cards. And I thought that was it. There was no way that I was going to be able to make a living in voiceover. That was a huge mistake, and I didn't know what I was going to do because I really had no other skills. So fortunately, I just kept doing whatever voiceover gigs I could, and it was anime that kind of carried me through. And it didn't pay enough really to pay the rent, but it was enough fulfillment for me psychologically to keep me going and to keep me creative. And I was playing music and doing a few other things at the time too, and that fed me enough to get me through those hard times. And I've just paid off that debt within the last year. I mean, that was year 2000. So. There was a lot of hard work to claw my way back in and do it, but I just kept doing it because I loved it. I didn't do it out of desperation, and I think that's the secret to really being a happy person, no matter what you're doing.
And you came to this later in life. I mean, this wasn't something like, I went to school to study acting, I did da-da-da-da-da. I mean, you blew onto the scene at the age of...
Well, I was 40 years old when I quit my job to do this full time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there's always time, as Rapunzel said, if you've got a dream,
you
have a dream.
I'm 103 now in voiceover.
I know.
Shocking. Thank you.
Very real 103-year-old I've ever met.
Thank you, baby.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. Where's Ayn?
He's back in the room. He was he's a bad boy.
Oh no, did he poop on the floor?
Yes.
So did
So I was at Mary's Q&A yesterday, and by the way, Mary, you're a wonderful voice actress. Thank you for coming here.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be back. I had to leave early last year, so I don't know whoever saw the concert. I know there were a lot of people there, but thank you so much for coming back.
There. It was a wonderful concert.
Thank you.
No,
Lead singer of Silent Hill Band, by the way, if you don't know.
But one of the questions I was asked yesterday was to Steve about how he's basically sort of learned something from each character, like he sort of gets in their psyche each time. And what I wanted to know was, when you were playing Guillemot, what did you learn from Guillemot?
Can't you play? Guillemot came at the right time for me. Guillemot was actually a really great character for me because I was going through some stuff at that time personally, and playing a lot of really hard characters. And Guillemot reminded me how important play is, and we talked about it all the time on the show. And Mary was my director on that show also, and she has a phenomenal sense of play. So
It always felt like playtime in the studio. And that's something I've carried with me all these years, and I play it every day now.
It's good. You're 103 years old, I play every day.
It's true.
What did you learn from Guillemot?
Joy for life. Serious joy for life, and just, you know, not taking yourself so seriously all the time. It's, of course you have to, you know, to be considered, you know, to get respect and everything else. But the play, time, to find time for friendship, and to me it was really about the friendship between Guillemot and Takado. And Rika and Renamon and Henry. I mean, it's just, it was all about friendships, and that's always something that Digimon has always stressed so much, is the power of friendship and what that bond can do, and how it can get you through something that you just think, I'm alone, and no one is alone, you know. As long as you foster good friendships, you've got someone in this world, you know, so to be with and to help get through stuff. So,
Yeah. That's a great question, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
But anyway, I hope you've heard Final Fantasy VII is getting a remake. I was going to ask, if you do know anything about you reprising your role as Vincent Valentine? And if you don't know, how would you react if they asked you?
Well, even if I do know, I wouldn't be able to say obviously.
Yeah, I know.
But in all honesty, I don't know. I haven't gotten the call. I don't know if they're going to use me. I hope they do, because I love Final Fantasy, and Vincent was one of my favorite characters because it feels good on the throat. It's like a warm-up exercise for me, and so many of the characters that I do, especially the deep voice characters, hurt. The growling and all that stuff, and Vincent, he sort of keeps it at a low volume, and I love that. So I really hope they call me. Yeah, and if I were to answer, if I didn't know, basically I would say, with a stupid look on my face.
Yeah, I do like you as Vincent. He's actually my favorite character of anything ever. I know way too much about him.
And uncomfortable enough?
I don't know, there's like two Vincent role players on Tumblr that like everybody knows, and I'm one of them, so I mean, I guess I know way too much about him, and don't know.
You know, in a place like this, you don't know way too much about anything. I think go for what you love and be proud of that. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you for caring. Hi.
Hi. Okay, first of all, I'm actually a really good fan of your work. Second of all, what's like your number one all-time favorite voice performance in any anime?
Oh.
Of ours or of somebody else's?
Like of his, his personal favorite, like his favorite, like what he's done.
In any anime?
Yeah, like
Wow.
in any of the animes you performed in.
That's so hard to choose, but in anime specifically, I'd probably say Spike, just because.
Mine
Oh, right, he's here.
That's the best Spike hair I may have ever seen in a house. That's fantastic.
Can I have your hair? Yeah, Spike. Well, Spike was, personally and professionally, Spike was a hugely transformative role for me. Changed everything in my career, and so many other things that I was booked on following that show.
Probably didn't hurt your throat as much.
No, it didn't. It didn't hurt the throat as much. And the depth of that character was amazing. It was just such an interesting
really
territory.
Too.
Yeah, interesting territory to explore, and I really learned how to act.
Yeah.
Performing Spike.
Yeah, he's also my favorite too. My friend Tyler, he also likes Orochimaru from Naruto.
Also a good choice.
What I love about Orochimaru is that when we were establishing his character is that he does have this sort of high, lilty feel that then dips down into this dark, almost snake-like place. And I love it. He is very creepy. He's unbelievably creepy. And that was such a fun, I still love Orochimaru so much.
I do too. I like the way you direct me for Orochimaru.
We're going to talk about that later.
She's also been my director on that show for many years.
Awesome.
10 years. We're on episode 500. I directed 565 the other day. 565.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Hi.
Hi, to kind of change things up, what's the most challenging character you folks have ever done? And let me just get this out of the way for Mary Elizabeth. Do you have any preference, or who would you choose to play Major Kusanagi in the Ghost in the Shell live-action movie?
Well, me, of course.
Yeah, you're out of it, you know.
No, I'm hoping, I know it's a very controversial choice, Scarlett Johansson, only because Motoko is Japanese. But for me, it's Ghost in the Shell is all about choosing your own shell. And if I had my choice, I might choose Scarlett Johansson for, to inhabit for a while. I think that would be, especially if she's as good a fighter as, Black Widow, for example. And after seeing her performance in Lucy, which I think I loved that movie so much, and by the end, I've always been fascinated with unlocking the potential of the brain and using what would happen to us as human beings if we actually were able to use 100% of our cranial capacities. And the way that she played Lucy at the end of it, I was like, that's Motoko right there. That's Motoko. So I am all 100% behind her. I'm hoping that the director will take pity on Richard Epcar and I and put us in a bar and let us be blown away by a Tachikoma or by her or by Bato or have the dog pee on us. But anything, that would make me really happy. So.
What was your most difficult?
Oh, most difficult role? Persona 4, I played Naoto, and it was like a 16-year-old, like this young girl, and I was like, I'm wrong for this, I'm so wrong. It's really difficult. Like, I've got a real sweet spot vocally, sort of, and this is it, and I can play with it, going, oh, Pepper's fun. But doing young characters, it freaks me. It's like, I'm not comfortable. It really pushes me out of my comfort zone, which is a good thing. So I think Naoto was one of the most difficult things I've had to do, just vocally, and also like, who's gonna believe this voice is coming out of this young girl? It was, anyway.
For me, vocally, it would be Wolverine. Just because, he kind of starts here, and then he goes into battle, and as soon as he starts going, that kind of thing, sustaining that for hours at a time, there's pieces of blood flying out of my head. But as a companion to that, when I was working on Digimon, I was playing a character called Kenta. And Kenta had a voice like this, and I would come in to do Kenta's voice after a Wolverine session, and there'd be nothing left in that upper register. Kenta would come in sounding like it was tough, and there were a couple times where I actually had to postpone, and I had to come back in and do that later. But my love for Wolverine made me want to take it as deep and as hard as I possibly could. Well, I didn't sound it. But it was so physical that at one point, I've told the story before, that Fred Tatasciore and I, when we were doing Hulk Versus, where Hulk is standing right next to me, he's a big guy, and we're at the mic, and we're literally throwing punches as we're doing the fight scenes, with our faces in front of the mic, being professional, sort of. But they actually had to move our mics apart because they thought we were going to knock each other out. And at the end of those sessions, Fred and I have talked about this before, where our bodies feel like we've been through that battle. I actually feel pain in my chest, I feel it in my arms, I feel it in every muscle that I would have used in that battle, because internally I have. And it's an interesting phenomenon in voice acting that I don't know if you go through that too, but my whole body feels like it's just been through that battle, and I need healing time. Physically, I need healing time after one of those sessions. But it's also an indication that I've done it the right way. So hopefully it plays that way.
Yeah.
Thank you. You look amazing. Help her with that mic there. Thank you. Awesome.
Okay, Steve. Ogre of the Dwarves of Orzammar versus Grunt of the Krogans. Who wins in a fight?
They wouldn't fight because they just get so drunk they both pass out on each other. There'd be a cuddle puddle. Heavy on the puddle.
Yeah, I just recently played through Origins and Awakening, and next to Alistair, Grunt is Ogren is one of my favorite companions.
Oh, thanks. I love him. Misery, vomit, and malt liquor. Reminds me of home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fart me a lullaby.
Mary, how's it going? So, pretty much all these fine people in front of me answer all the questions I have in mind, but frankly, I mean, I could listen to you, recite the ingredients to cereal and still be the But here's a good question. A couple of years back, you once told me and a buddy of mine that you have a running collection of, I guess, DVDs, video games that you did voices for. Do you ever go back and play them or watch them and just maybe I could have done this better, or are you just they're like, yeah, I rock.
Sadly, most are still shrink wrapped, including VHS versions of a lot of the old shows. I have not seen most of my work, and I'm not a good gamer because I don't have opposable thumbs. So I'm trying to grow them now. Hopefully, she can cast a spell where I can become a better gamer. The only show really that I've watched recently would be Cowboy Bebop, which was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. It was the first time I'd ever seen it, and I saw it out of order, and it was really strange. That I'd really like to go back and watch it. I have Blu-ray now, and I really want to go back and see that. There's so many of those shows that I'm so curious to see how they came out. GTO is another one that we ad-libbed that entire show, so I have no idea what I did. I don't even remember. And so I'd really love to go back and watch that. And the few things that I have seen that I've had a sort of a negative reaction to, there would be one where I actually played Goku in one of the video games. And it was such a horrible performance. I was really a young actor at the time, and we did a Talking Tunes Rob Paulson podcast a few days ago, and Sean Schimmel was there. And I'm sitting next to him, and I'm thinking, wow, I'm sitting next to the guy who really did this voice the right way. But in retrospect, that's who I was at that time. It's part of my history. It's part of my autobiography. And so I don't have any regrets about it. Of course, I would like to go back and redo certain things, knowing what I know now, but that's who I was at the time.
So it's pretty much like I imagine you're just there yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, well, there has to be, if there's a way of pulling the ego out of it, I do know that I'm a better actor now. So yeah, I'll take that on. Yeah, I can do it.
I think it's called confidence.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe so.
Yes, there's a difference between ego and confidence.
Yeah.
Super ego.
Yeah, I wrestle with that sometimes still.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. That's a great question.
Hi there.
Hi.
Before I ask my question, I know both of you hear this regularly and a lot, but I really, really want to reiterate how excited we are that you're here and how much we really appreciate you dedicating your time to us. Well, my question for you both is, while you were young, growing up, or as a student, what was that moment where you suddenly said, that's it, that's what I want to be when I grow up, that's what I want to do is act and pursue this. What was that moment for both of you?
I just got my first tattoo in New Orleans 2 weeks ago because of that very moment. Great question. I was thinking I wanted to be I'm again fascinated with unlocking the potential of the brain, so I was like, maybe I'll be a neurosurgeon, maybe I'll be a psychologist. So I was taking classes and I was looking for in my day, we had computer labs in college because they were too expensive to actually have one of your own and too big. So I was looking for the computer lab to do a paper about twin rats and for physiological psychology, and I stumbled into a Hamlet audition. Like, people were out in the hallway, I was like, what are you guys doing? They're like, oh, we're having auditions for Hamlet. And I'd always wanted to do that, but I have an identical twin, and when we were growing up, they said, well, we can't just cast one of you, that's not fair. So you guys could be in the chorus, or I played in the orchestra. So I auditioned for Hamlet, and I got Ophelia. And that changed everything, everything. So that put me on this path to study theater, and then to go to grad school and get an MFA, and then try and be on Star Trek if I could. I mean, it was just like, it was something that I always wanted to do, and that was the moment where I finally got a chance to do it. So this is Ophelia in Elvish, because I'm a nerd. And I love it. Yeah, that's the moment.
Mine sort of happened in 2 stages. As far as voice acting is concerned, I've always done crazy voices. The first thing, well, it's sort of 3 stages. The first thing that caught my attention was when I was young and newlywed in my marriage years and years and years ago. I was about 21 years old. I bought an answering machine. It was the first answering machine I had with a little tape in it and everything. And I wanted to do my message a little bit different than other people's, and so I did it as Goofy, because I thought I did a pretty good Goofy impression.
You did.
And so, hello, thanks for calling Steve Machine. And I did that kind of stuff all the time. I was just a goofball. But what sort of changed it for me was people's responses, because I got a wrong number. And then the guy called back, and he's laughing with his buddies in the background. He goes, dude, you gotta listen to this. I hear all this in the background. I'm like, and he calls me like 10, 11 times. And then they started calling back the next week and saying, dude, you gotta change it. We want to hear other voices. And I was thinking, what? Why?
Requests on your answering machine.
On my answering machine. And so I started changing it up. Every week I did something else. And so I just did that for fun. I never thought I could make a career out of it. And then I got hired to do my first gig, which is a show called The Guyver. Thank you. And I couldn't believe I got hired for it, but my first professionally paid voice, which was $7 for that line, was a creature ripping the arm off another creature. And I could do it to time code. I could do it to match what was on the screen, and it was just that sort of thing. But they paid me for it, and they fed me free breakfast and free lunch, and I was a starving musician at the time, and I thought, oh man, I'm a professional voice actor. But I still didn't think that I could make a living at it. And so I kept my other job, my day job, which became that industry job at the film company. But then later on, when I booked the 7-Eleven commercial, I thought that was going to be the turning point.
And was that after Cowboy Bebop?
That was after Cowboy Bebop. It was
And
year
Big O
2000,
and everything,
I think.
yeah.
Yes, it was a couple of years after we had recorded Bebop. And I booked the 7-Eleven commercial. I thought I could actually make enough money to sustain myself in the business, and I was woefully wrong. And but that was the point where I thought it might be possible to make a living at it. So for me, I went through it such a backwards way. It wasn't like Mary's story where I was inspired and I started taking classes and doing things the right way. It took me 20 years. But I did it just because I loved doing it, and it ended up working out. So I think that's the best way to fall into a job.
So when people ask, how do you become a voice actor? There are a lot of different ways to do it, you know?
Absolutely.
There's no one way at all, by any means, so.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much, Bebop. Thank you. Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. Or I guess afternoon. At this point.
Good afternoon.
So I was actually going to say what she said. Thank you for taking the time to be here. It's amazing.
Oh, thanks for
Absolutely
having
amazing. So when I was growing up, I actually first saw Cowboy Bebop when I was about 15. There was kind of some stuff going on. And so between the music and the acting, it was just amazingly impactful on my life. So what are some of the things that you've heard from fans that are like, oh my God, I can't believe this character just like changed this person, or helped this person in such a way?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Bebop changed my life. It's the first thing I ever directed. It's the first series I ever directed. And I thought, nobody's ever going to see this. So let's make a show that's something that we want to watch. And it was so beautiful and so impactful, I mean, visually. And Yoko Kanno's music, I still listen to. It. It's so incredible and so beautiful. Yeah, it changed.
Right now.
Yeah, it changed my life. And I think I don't know, people have just come up and said that. It's just like it changed their lives. It also opened their world to anime or animation in general, you know? I mean, it's such a beautiful series, you know, specifically to that.
Yeah, there have been, I've been lucky to work on so many shows that seem to have affected people. Bebop, of course, is one of them. I've heard stories of Bebop fans where it helped them to meet with their partner, become engaged, married. I've heard that many times. Got people through very difficult times with the death of a loved one, or helping kids with autism to connect in the world. Soldiers in Afghanistan who, not as much with Bebop, but definitely that has been the case with Bebop too, but even things that you wouldn't expect. I worked a lot on Call of Duty games, and I've had a lot of soldiers tell me that when they would come back from these horrible missions where they would see awful, awful things, they'd come back to their tent at night with their buddies and all they wanted to do was play Call of Duty because it gave them a sense of home. It made them feel that connection to home and to their friends and their family. And it was such an interesting phenomenon, and some of these guys said it helped them keep their sanity and kept them alive. And then other stories of people saying they connected with characters a lot with Digimon, where people would feel suicidal at times, and it would actually get them over that crest where they could feel hope again by connecting with the character in some way. And that stuff has touched me on a cellular level. It changed me profoundly. And when I come to these, that's one of the main reasons I come to the cons, is to hear the stories and to look into your eyes and make that connection. Because for me, that grounds me and it gives me the purpose for continuing on doing this stuff. We're not just, you know, barking and spitting and farting in the booths. We're actually connecting with people on a global level, and there's a need for that in this world. And so thank you guys for sharing those stories with us. It's been amazing.
Last year when I was here with Akira Yamaoka and we did the Silent Hill concert, people came up to us at the signing and said, I was at a point in my life where I couldn't go on anymore. And the music of Silent Hill and like the song, for instance, The Letter, which is all about, look, I know, and it's about talking to yourself in the future, knowing that things are going to get rough, things are going to get awful, but that you're going to be okay, and that we're put here on this earth to feel joy, and to know that, and people came up last year and said, that stopped me at the time of the darkest point in my life, and how I just wanted to end it, and that stopped me from doing something to myself. I mean, that's unbelievable, you know, and it's just so thank you guys for I don't know, listening and connecting and making this a communal effort. So it's not just, again, us in a booth barfing out stuff. It's actually, it becomes a communal experience between you guys and us, and that's why we're all here.
We're all in this together. Yeah. Frank Godzilla shirt for you guys can't see.
Thank you.
It wasn't just my normal Tourette's.
Major Kusanagi, Lord Starscream.
Hello. Thank you for calling me Lord. That
Good
is
morning,
the
soldier.
thing.
Alright, I got two real quick questions and then I got a jet. What was your favorite cartoon? Could be any region, doesn't matter, that you liked growing up, and what character would you voice from said series?
Oh, wow. Big question.
Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck.
Would you voice Daffy Duck or Bugs Bunny? Or
I would. I think my personality is more Bugs, but I would want to play Daffy. I love Daffy.
Hey, driver.
I'm terrible at it. I can't do it. I'm just saying I would like to. It's something to aspire to. You can do Daffy.
You're not despicable at all.
Still lurking about.
I would concur on that. I love Bugs and Daffy. I love those cartoons. One that I really loved growing up was Yacky Doodle. And it's something that a lot of people don't even know now, you youngsters. But I got to play him on Harvey Birdman. And that was one of the things that just tickled me. I couldn't believe I got to do that. But he said really awful things too. It wasn't the normal. Hi, Champloo, how are you doing? He would say stuff like, my good name, chemical castration. It was really wrong. wrong and weird. Yeah, but I used to love all the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons.
Yeah, they were
That's my jam.
That's cool. Thank you both. Hope to see you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you for
wonderful
San Antonio,
afternoon.
and hope you have a fun time at the con.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Since it's Saturday and you're wearing the shirt, I might as well ask a Toonami question.
Please, yeah, fire away.
Tell me, were you at any point ever willing to say, I think I could make a whole Tom movie? A whole movie just with Tom?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, we did the vignettes. We did the intruder and all the old
But like
vignettes.
a whole full-length movie?
Well, I was hoping. I've been hoping for that for like 12 years. So, yeah, I think that'd be amazing.
In your opinion, what would be the story?
Oh, well, I don't know if I'd want to reveal that because just in case. Hen Tom.
Yes.
Wow, God, the fan fiction's gonna fly.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, Jason and Gil and Adult Swim in advance. I wouldn't even want to speculate because I wouldn't be one of the writers on that. But we are doing an Intruder 2. And we've already teased that, and it's going to be coming out very soon. So they're putting a lot of goodness into this stuff. A lot of it has to do with budget and time. And the guys who created Toonami and are still working on Toonami now, Jason and Gil, have been with the program forever. They've been with it since the inception. They're also studio executives. They're like vice presidents at Adult Swim. So I don't know if they have the time to do that, frankly. They're running a network. But I hope that would happen, and I would definitely be part of it if they would allow me in. So, yeah, man, I want to fly the Absolution as long as I can. Thank you. And Toonami, Adult Swim. Hey.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
So, Steve and Mary, I'm actually really glad that you're here on Saturday. I missed you on Friday.
Oh.
So I'm really happy that you're here today, and I can ask both of you the same questions. So, Mr. Steve, for Toonami, do you have to, when you're recording like the episodes and stuff, or like the bumpers and stuff, do you have your own studio to, send those voices over, or do you have to go down to like Adult Swim to record them? Because they seem like very instant.
Yeah.
Are they pre-recorded?
It is pre-recorded by about 5 days.
Okay.
I recorded my home studio in Los Angeles. The Williams Street is based in Atlanta, and so we've always done it over the phone. That's the way we've always done it. It hasn't always been from my home studio, but a studio in Los Angeles. And so I record every Monday morning, and usually in my underwear. So imagine that. No, I'm sorry. 70% of the time in my underwear. No, but it's in my little home studio, and I'm on the phone with them, so they are directing me through most of that stuff. But I don't write any of it. I'm just the voice monkey in my little studio banging it out.
And honestly, you do make that character, and when that April Fool's happened, and then when we saw you happen, that was just like awesome. He's got his job back. And okay, and 2 more questions, very quick. My favorite character of you is Runt, and I wanted to know is that your actual voice talent, or did you have computerized? Because that is like a rough voice.
Well, Grunt I record down here, and so I do say, straight to the face, Shepherd. But they actually lower that, I think, about a half semitone. So that's really the only affectation I think they do is they just lower the pitch slightly.
Okay.
Because I can get down there, but Grunt is maybe, he's another little bit below me. So I don't quite have the body girth.
And lastly, for Mary, when I knew there was more episodes coming for Ghost in the Shell OVAs, Ghost in the Shell Rise, I was really excited that maybe you would be, younger Motoko.
Yeah.
But then I found out that you weren't casting for it. How did you feel about that? Did you want to be that character, or was it just the director decided?
Well, they recast it in Japan, and when Funimation got Arise, they said that, I think whoever owns the property from Japan said, we want to do the same thing. So the girl who in Japan who played young Motoko ended up playing younger Motoko in this new version. So the actress who played Motoko did not play Motoko in Arise either. Her younger self from the previous series, who is now grown up, played young Motoko. So I was sad at first, but then I realized, well, that's somebody else's decision. I don't take it personally to recast everybody, so I don't feel bad about that. And then Funimation called and offered me the role of Motoko's, former supervisor. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I'll do that, and I think that's a nice. I'm very, very honored to be able to do that, and it was very kind of Funimation to let me play that.
And when I heard your voice as another character, I'm like, okay, thank God she's at least still in the franchise a little. So
Yeah, and I love the guys at Funimation. They're amazing, and I know they took beautiful care of that property.
All right, that's all my questions. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming down here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us. You guys are amazing.
Good afternoon. So recently you did a collaboration with Chris Stuckman on Tsunami Retrospective.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how many people know him. I'm just a really big fan of movies, so that really touched me because I think, and I hope you think too, that he did a really good job of kind of like taking everyone back and not like criticizing or saying like kind of trying to elevate it. It's just kind of like giving an introspective on what it was and the impact that it had on the U.S. landscape in regards to anime.
Yeah.
My question is, how did that happen? Because I'm sure that you get so many emails from fans and people are like, oh, check out my YouTube channel. So I don't know how you felt or if this is how it went, but like you just get email from some guy, Chris Stuckman, saying, hey, can you do a collab with me? And what stops you from going delete? Like
that's kind of exactly how it happened, and it's really predicated by my time available, because I'm traveling a lot, I'm working a lot, and I'll go through my emails and I'll look at every email, and I won't necessarily open all of them because I just don't have time. I'll get like 200 a day sometimes, but the one from Chris came through, and I don't remember what he said in his tagline, but I think it looked professional enough where it caught my attention enough to open it at least. And then I took a look at some of the other things that he had done, and I loved his style. I thought he was amazing. And I jumped on it, and I happen to have time to do it. And it makes me sad that I can't do all the podcasts and things that I'd like to. But that was one of them that worked out really well, and he did a beautiful job on it. He's amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Howdy. So one of my favorite shows is Samurai Champloo.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wanted to come up here and just ask, from your time working on that show, are there any stories or anything you'd like to share regarding that?
That was such an interesting show for me, because coming on the heels of Bebop, the first thing that struck me was how similar the character was to Spike, at least vocally and with that level of snark and lack of care, sloppiness. And yeah, it was the hair. Who said hair? Yeah. It was very interesting, and my biggest fear was that people were going to criticize it for doing that, being that one guy with the one voice, doing the same character again. But it was sort of written that way, and intentionally. And once I surrendered to that, I just had to listen to everything they said. And that show was very close to the best with the original Japanese. The Japanese clients were in the room for almost every episode, and they really wanted to be very strict to the original Japanese performance of it. And I wanted to play them a little bit harder, actually, and they kept pulling me back and having a certain lightness of tone to the voice, which I think worked really, really well for the character, especially with the hip-hop soundtrack. It was really an interesting project to work on. It was a project of restraint for me. Really. I wasn't able to go as broad as I do on a lot of other things, but I think it worked beautifully. They really knew what they were doing, and I trusted their vision. So it was fun. It was really fun. I'd like to see it. I've only seen like 7 episodes. One of these days.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for watching.
We've got about 10 minutes left, and we want to get through all the questions, so we may start to do a little more of a lightning round.
Yes.
Okay.
Fire away.
Hello.
Hi.
Just gotta get this out. I am as giddy as a schoolgirl right now, because now you are my 3rd voice actor from my childhood and most of my adulthood. God, my heart is pounding. After this, I have to go use the restroom.
I'm going right now.
My question is, what is your favorite show to binge watch? Just go home, strip down, grab 10 bags of chips, 10 liters of soda. What is your favorite shows to binge watch?
I don't think I've ever done that, but I'm going to now. You're the binge watcher.
I am. It used to be Lost. I would get, after every holiday, after every Christmas, the whole family would go away. I'd go get the season of Lost and just sit down and say, I will see you in 3 days. And recently, I binge watched all of Battlestar Galactica. I binge watched all of Breaking Bad because I just caught up like the last 5 episodes and I had 5 and a half seasons to watch before then. Orange is the New Black was great. Just recently binge watched real fast great little series called Mozart in the Jungle, which is awesome, and it's sort of like a Dudamel character, a conductor in New York, so that was really good. And I have all of Game of Thrones and Hannibal for whenever I need things. So.
I don't watch TV, I just don't have time usually to watch. Since being with Mary, I'm inspired now though, and she started me on Hannibal.
To waste time.
Yeah, but I think I'm hooked. I want to watch Hannibal. It's the first show that I really wanted to watch for a while. But when I do binge watch, it's usually for research. I usually do it because I'm setting up for a character, and lately it's been for Star Wars Rebels because there'll be time between recordings, and I need to refamiliarize myself with it. And so I'll sit there with a big old bucket of popcorn and I'll just bash through them, just to see how they animated everything and see where the character arc is going. And I want to stay true to that in the next incarnation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Good morning, Elsa. Hello. And I just wanted you to know I've never seen my boyfriend fanboy so bad.
Oh. He'll be in the bathroom.
That's
I just wanted to know, I know you've done so many characters, so if they all had to meet in one room and had to fight, what would be the last 2 standing and who would win in the end?
Vincent. For both of us? Vincent, you think? Yeah. You're log on. No, that's a really good question. Wow. I'm thinking Orochimaru, honestly. Yeah. He seems to come back from everything.
What do you want? Yeah, I think Orochimaru would definitely be yours. I think the Major would be mine. She was, she's like, I got blown away. I'll just, maybe Orochimaru would jump into, Motoko would use Orochimaru's body, and the 2 of them could be one forever. That would be kind of
Please.
Thank you.
That's an awesome question. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
All the characters in your voice, have you ever noticed like any kind of characteristics bleed through into your everyday life?
All the time. All the time. But I think we sort of meld with them after a while. They become part of us, we become part of them. And for me, they're expressions of my psyche. Just different pieces of my brain that have been rattling around in there looking for an escape. So yeah, it comes and goes with me all the time. And I think the most noticeable thing is just my confidence in the world coming from characters like Spike. Because I was very, very insecure, bullied kid. And I never thought that I could feel confident in my own skin. And that really helped to build some of that. So many things.
Yeah, confidence, 100%. I know I'm not nowhere near as big a badass as a lot of the characters that I've played, but I like to think I am sometimes.
Yeah, you are.
So it helps. It helps a lot.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Hi.
This is a question for Steve Blum. How did it feel to play Starscream from Transformers Prime?
Absolutely spectacular.
I love playing Starscream. Those are big heels to fill.
High heels.
Yeah, literally. I was terrified, honestly, and I was terrified for several reasons. First of all, Chris Latta, set the bar for everybody who's followed. And Starscream has been played by some amazing people, including Tom Kenny and Charlie Adler. And Charlie was playing Starscream in the movies when I booked this role, and he's a dear friend of mine, and I actually called him very sheepishly, and I said, is there a reason why you're not playing Starscream? Because you're my Starscream. And he said, no, there's a lot of reasons why I can't do it. God bless you, go make $1 million and enjoy the film, enjoy the show. And I was so scared walking in there, and the guys who were producing that show are fans, like all of us. And when they wanted Starscream to be a little bit darker, and so I started him down here, and then, you know, we built him up, you know, sort of the crazy thing. And in the booth, the way they directed me to do that was that there were all these executives behind the glass on the other side, and it's very rare that you have that many people in the room during a record. But to get Starscream to go to the Crystalata highs, they would give me jazz hands. A whole room full of executives from the studio giving me jazz hands. So it was a wonderful experience, and the cast was amazing. Standing next to people like Frank Welker and Peter Cullen and Darren Norris and Kevin Michael Richardson, and everybody in that cast was unbelievable to work with. I was fanboying through that entire show. Literally, I mean, like this guy who came up a little while ago, I was that guy in the room. Every time Peter Cullen would open his mouth and say, roll out, all of us in the room kind of go, do it again. It was amazing. And Jeff Combs, also who played Ratchet, was a guy who was the lead in Reanimator in that movie that I was a PA on for all those years ago. I got to work with them side by side in a room as actors. It fulfilled so many of my fanboy fantasies. It was amazing.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and you still have to call me Lord.
Getting down to it, guys. We have about 3 minutes left.
Okay, lightning round.
My question is for Steve. What was it like doing the voice of Tecmo in regular show?
Awesome. I love the regular show. It's so much fun to work on. Those guys are geniuses, and they're hilarious and super fun. It's really great. I have to keep the answers short, sorry. But thank you. Yes, awesome, and watch the regular show. We love it. Yes.
Morning, Jeremy.
Hi.
Hi, I'm a film artist, and you guys have gotten to do so many great things. As for someone who's starting his career and is very nervous, what would you advise for me to put my foot in the door, or just start?
As a film artist?
As a voice acting, directing, I'm just looking to...
Well, for voice acting specifically, go to iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. I'm serious. I'm serious. E. Bradley Baker, one of the greatest voice actors in the world, has written this free blog. He updates it all the time. It's a $10,000 masterclass for free. iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. Go there, read everything he has to say, and follow all the links to all the exercises, and it will guide you through this precarious world. Okay.
And for video production, for directing.
Oh, I don't know. Directing. I think it would just be to do your own stuff, whatever you can, and put it up on YouTube, and start your own grassroots and do it yourself. For me, I got lucky. I was working as a voiceover actor in a company, and they had too many shows, and they needed another director. So I really got lucky on that. So be lucky, but mostly get start your own stuff and do it on, do it at home and just put it up on YouTube and get noticed.
Thank you. I love your work.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's going on? I'm so hyped right now, but definitely, I was just wondering, have you ever considered maybe taking like a live action role, or have you guys ever?
I don't want to do it. I'm doing some on-camera stuff now, but overall, I don't like that world. It's just mean. It's really a mean world, and I don't like memorizing lines either. I'm lazy.
Well, you're all going to be blown away when something comes out that we can't talk about, but it's going to be pretty amazing, and he is on camera, which is great.
Yeah. Coming soon. Somewhere near you.
Yes. Okay, sorry guys, we got to go really fast because we have 1 minute. Sorry.
So many words by Kevin Conroy is Batman, Mark Hamill is Joker. What was it like when you discovered you pretty much have to come to the defend of Wolverine?
I cried. Thank you, Marvel. Yeah, I can't believe it.
Hi.
Thanks, Marvel.
What is your creepiest character that you have ever done? Orochimaru was mine, I can't do it.
Orochimaru was pretty creepy. Yeah, and Liron was really creepy too, but only because of the the outtakes, which you guys are not going to see, because, oh, do we go creepy there.
I think Katsuyu, not creepy, but you know, she's a big slug and she sort of talks out of a sphincter mouth, so that's kind of
One of the things that attracted me to you, right?
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi.
Hello, do you ever see yourself do like live commentary or something, like in sports or anything like that?
Live commentary? Oh, like in sports or anything? Oh, gosh.
Your voices were great for that.
Only if we had a wrestling, it would be like an all-out wrestling, voiceover actor wrestling, and it would be between John DiMaggio and Fred Tatasciore when we do the running commentary. That would be lovely. With Kevin Michael Richardson as referee.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to San Antonio.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
You look great.
Major?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
What do you like to do as a hobby besides getting killed by Matt Mercer?
Oh, please don't let it be. I am obsessed with the moon and taking pictures of the moon through my telescope, just looking up at the moon, and I love video poker. So there you go. It's very random, different things.
I like being outside. I like just going outside, being with my animals, hiking, just doing stuff and looking at trees, breathing air, because we don't get to do that a lot.
If anybody has any tips or pointers on how we're going to kill these frost giants and white dragon, please come and find me at my signing at 2:30 in the dealer's room, because we're going to do it.
Hi.
Will you be the voice actor of Cars and Jojo's Bizarre Adventure?
Which?
Will you be the voice actor of Cars and Jojo's Bizarre Adventure?
Cars and Jody's Bizarre Adventure.
I have no idea.
I keep rumoring you, is it?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it an anime? It sounds like a ride at Disneyland.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome, but I haven't heard anything. Yeah. I'm always the last to know. A lot of times we work on projects, we don't know the name of the project either, they keep it secret. Hi.
Hello, I'm Reader. I've heard that you voiced Son Goku in Dragon Ball GT: A Final Bout.
Badly, yes.
How did it feel, and did you base the voice off of any other characters?
No, they just told me scream as loud as you can. And try to make it match the lip flaps.
We didn't have to do any techniques. You used Japanese for that. You used Japanese audio for the attacks.
We listened to the Japanese audio and they wanted me to copy it exactly. So it was sort of stilted, in my opinion. I would have loved to have done it differently, but we had to go really close to the original Japanese tracks. And yeah, if I could do it again, that's one that I probably would.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Or just hire Sean.
Yes.
Because he's better than I am.
All right.
Hi.
Who inspires you, be it a voice actor, non-voice actor, or a character?
Well, her for one. For real though, I mean, we've been friends for 15 years, and she has inspired me in this business countless times in so many different ways. And then as a person too, she's a great person, besides being unbelievably talented. Yeah, we're so lucky that we're in rooms with some of the most talented, wonderful, big-hearted people in the world. And that's why I love the voiceover community.
Yeah, it's a really generous community, and it's a supportive community, more so than any other that I've ever encountered. So that they inspire me. This community inspires me.
And you guys inspire me. And
Yeah.
honestly, coming here, you guys are a huge source of inspiration for us. So thank you for caring about what we do.
Yeah, and for coming out and saying hello. It means so much
Yeah.
for us to get to talk to you guys, so thank you. All right, last question. Sorry.
I know you said earlier that with the hentai thing that you pretty much started it and you were like, oh wait, what is this and what's going on? With voice acting, do y'all have like any outlines, or do they give you a script, or do you have any clue what you're doing before you start, or do they just like say this and go?
Depends on the project. It depends on the project. Sometimes they go in and they'll just say, just make it, we're looking for something in here. And there's a lot of shows based on improv now, which there weren't before, both on camera and voiceover. So, but then most of the time you get a script, and sometimes you get the lines around it, and sometimes you don't. And you're sort of acting in the dark. We rely on our directors more than anything, I think.
Yeah, and in specifically anime and video games, most of the time we'll come in and they'll throw a script in front of us and they'll say, okay, you're playing this character, this character, this character, go. And it happens that fast, and you got to start pulling stuff out of your, satchel of awesome if you have one with you. And they'll change it out too. I mean, very, very often we'll go in thinking we're going to play one character, and they decide that you're better for another character. And I actually did some prep, especially with dialects. It's really crazy for you aspiring voice actors there. Broaden your horizons. If you do like 3 dialects, you better do like 50. Because I went into a video game session. I was the lead in this video game, thinking that I was going to do some, I think it was a Caribbean or Cajun accent. And I walk in the studio and they say, we decided we're going to go Australian, go. Okay, I'm in, let's do it. And you've got to be that fast on the mark. But for original animation, shows like Star Wars Rebels, Transformers, things like that, where you're working with a cast and they're animating to our voices, they will send us the scripts ahead of time so we can study up on it and sort of understand the art a little bit better.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for.
So we have signings today at 2 o'clock. 2 to 3:30 we'll be signing in the art room, or in that great big hall. And then tonight we've got a 6:30 to 7:30 reverse Q&A, which means I think we get to ask you questions.
Okay.
Thanks so
Awesome.
much,
Thanks
you
for coming,
guys.
guys.